Mainly the building is just an art gallery, or an art exhibition, if you will. Some interesting work. This looks like some bronzed surface of natural rock. That's certainly an add-on surface of some kind of acrylic. Interesting. This looks more Egyptian than anything else, as though it were some kind of a surreal depiction of the process of preparing a body for ritualistic sailing down the Nile or something. That's all my interpretation. Here, an interesting variation on that theme. This is looking back down the wall where I walked this morning. These are lines after lines of brush strokes with a heavy accent on the left side of the brush, and then it's either on red or coated with red. I think it's on red and then glazed over somehow. These are lines after lines of brush strokes with a heavy accent on the left side of the brush, and then it's either on red or coated with red. I think it's on red and then glazed over somehow. This is entitled Rescue Number 2. And this Rescue Number 1. And this one entitled Survivor. And this one entitled Onlooker, or Onlooking. Presumably the gray things at the top are people just looking at this person whose life is seeping out of their mouth. Here are some art panels with electrical components, butterflies flitting around inside of a dress form. And here are butterflies flitting about bamboo. And here what looks to be butterflies or birds hanging out in a tree while a soldier swings from a limb. This entitled Beijing Hexagonal Pavilion. It seems cynical. Those brand new modernistic looking buildings. And then this ramshackled half-fallen tent that I think probably has 8 sides. To me, suggesting the incredible downgrading of importance of the old architecture of pavilions in deference to the new skyscrapers. These are bronzes. Whether they're bronzes of actual shoes or some kind of sculptures, it doesn't say. Here's the detail on these stairways. Theoretically, this is an execution sword. This is apparently a purlin from one of the buildings that was shot full of bullet holes, although I don't see any, unless they're shot, small pellets, by the 1906 Allied forces. This building is apparently portrayed in this photograph here, in the upper right. These are the environs in 1920. Some of the very simple swords and bow and arrow of the day. Ending Men Gate. These are the names also of many of the subway stations on Line 2, which circles in the form of a square the city of Beijing today on top of the original city walls path. This is a city gate lock. It's interesting. These are called shotguns with 3 points. I don't know what that means. Apparently camels were in use in the old days. Here's kind of a Ken Burns outside the gates. Okay, this is far too easy. I just walked up the street and here is the observatory, obviously. Now we'll go up, I believe, and take a closer look at those items. Here's the ticket office to the right, entrance there, and a pan of the, what I'll call the front part of the tower. I'm in the exhibition area first before I go up onto the tower. The tower was one of the original towers in the Beijing city wall, and the observatory dates back to the time of Kublai Khan's days, dating to around 1425. In this courtyard that I'm in right now, we'll see a reproduction of an Armillary square, Armillary sphere, dating to 1439, and at the rear we'll see some grass, sundials, and a further Armillary sphere. Then we'll climb up onto the roof and see other items. This is a Chinese star dial. It's a timing device for observing fixed stars at night to determine the time, first used in the Tang dynasty. I suspect these are all reproductions, but you can see the calibrations there and denoted in Chinese figures. This was probably the GPS equivalent technology of its time. Now this is a Chinese moon dial used to determine the time through observation on the directional changes of the moon. It consists of 2 concentric discs and a vernier in the center. The vernier is used for indicating the time according to the moon. I'm sure I had a clue you could do that, but I never thought much about it. Let's take a closer look at this. Again, the gradations here. There it looks like there are 2 dials that can, 2 arms that can be moved to indicate various things. I wonder if they had some kind of documentation too for this. I'm sure they did. Amazing. Always intrigued by stuff like this. And here's the entry into the rail yard behind the Beijing main rail station. It's in the southeast corner of that line 2, or the original square, if you will, of the Beijing wall. So here's looking back down the top of the wall. I'd love to find a way to get up onto it without being unsafe and disrespectful. Okay, this is the last of the buttresses on the northeast corner, and the last portion of the wall moving to the north now. So it's turned the corner from where I was, and this is the end portion of it that remains here. And I'm here as I continue to try to find. So from this most northeastern corner of the wall, which is to the north of the tower that you see, the southeast tower, and to the right of that narrow green spot we were just walking on, I'm going to go north up to the Ancient Observatory.